Good morning. I'd like to begin today by sharing some good news. Debbie Knapp and Wayne Thush, two of our pianists here at Church of the Oaks, are both working diligently to create music videos that we can add to our YouTube page. And hopefully within the next week or two, they'll be posted up there, and we can all hook up to YouTube and watch music. I don't know for sure what we're going to call it, perhaps music for the heart and mind, but we can copy those links, and anytime we choose to listen to some very excellent music, some meditative music, some beautiful music, we can click on that link. Maybe right before a Sunday message, or maybe right after, maybe during the Tuesday afternoon blahs. You need a little musical uplift. They'll be there. So Debbie and Wayne, thank you. And we will make sure that you all know about it when it's in place. We are, like it or not, in a period of total global transformation. And we're going to be having very shortly something I'm going to call a new normal created globally. And each of us can take part in creating that new normal, or allow the people who created the last normal to recreate it, carbon copy. And if that's the course of action that takes place, it won't be exactly the same as the old normal. There'll be a little less freedom. There'll be a little more poverty, a little more injustice, a little more profit. But it's our choice. We have the opportunity to be part of creating that new normal. It's going to happen. But how is it going to happen? What's the new normal going to be based on? Is it going to be based on the fear of death, financial grief, hatred? Or is it going to be based on the realization of our innate power as human beings and our ability to manifest freedom in what we create? I've been pondering this for quite some time. And this is the first time, I believe, in centuries that there hasn't been a normal in place, a status quo in place. This moment, when the global community is on its knees, this is the moment we've been waiting for. And folks, we are the leaders we've been waiting for. And as we get together, collaborate on creating this new normal, what do you think might be one of the largest obstacles that we're going to have to overcome? I think the largest obstacle we're going to have to overcome in creating our new normal is our ability to think personally and collectively. There's not a person amongst us that hasn't had a lifetime of conditioning, of being told what to think, Turn on the television set. It tells you what to think, how to vote. It tells you you need a new car to be happy. You need to have these clothes to be happy and look better. You need these skin treatments. You need this food to make you happy and healthy. And if you start to think for yourself, oh, it's time for the game. And don't forget Dancing with the Stars on the television. And then we've got all the video games. All the distractions to keep us from thinking. My friends, if we are going to ever have a new normal, we'll never get a better opportunity than right now. And for that to happen, thought is required. Thinking is a must. If we continue to allow someone else to do our thinking for us, the future is going to be just like the past, and it's going straight downhill. I watched a video not long ago, just a few days ago. It was a documentary about the Mayo Clinic. And these two brothers started the Mayo Clinic, and in 1919, they started a foundation, an education foundation, to train doctors, to give scholarships, to create doctors, to teach doctors the medical profession. And the very first thing that they instilled upon these medical students was this: you can think and you will think, and that thinking will be focused on the improvement of the condition of health of humanity. You can think and you will think. And that was their goal. They did something further. The following year, the Mayo Clinic stopped being a private enterprise, and they turned it into a foundation. And they had some rules written into the bylaws, into the structure of this foundation, that there would be no profits divided. Another thing they wrote into it was all of the doctors were on salary. There was no motivation for doing more procedures and sending bigger bills. Everybody was on salary. The focus was on quality, not quantity. And they've merged with a couple other big hospitals, and it's going, and it's still using that same directive. Quality, not quantity. I was watching Democracy Now! The other day, and the nurses, I think this was Wednesday maybe, the nurses at a big hospital in Harlem all started demonstrating. And they weren't demonstrating so much for more masks and personal protective equipment. They were demonstrating for the need for our country to nationalize our health care. Stop making health care for profit. And the health care in this country should be organized and administrated by nurses and doctors, not businessmen, not politicians, not bureaucrats, but by people on the front line, on the floor in the emergency room. I think there's going to be a huge amount of thought necessary to create a new normal in virtually every facet of our lives. I listened to a man, I've been listening to him for years. His name is Muhammad Yunus. Most of you have maybe heard of him. 25 years ago, he started with maybe $1 million. And he created these little micro loans to people in very poor communities, people that had no ability to have commercial banking. And they loaned money so people could start their own small businesses. And little bits of money, $30, $100, $80. And that has been super, super successful. And he was giving a lecture at the, I don't know, it was in San Francisco, I can't remember the name of it right now, but he was talking in this lecture about two types of businesses. He said most businesses created today are created for the purpose of making profit, making money. He said, but the business that his companies promote and embrace and loan money to are what he calls social businesses. Businesses created for the purpose of solving a problem. He said, maybe you see a problem of unemployment, and the goal of your business is to get 3 people in your community off the unemployment rolls. So you start this little itty-bitty business, and when you get those 3 people off of welfare, go to a different street or a different community or a different part of town and do the same thing again and again and again. And it makes a positive difference in our community. The Commonwealth Club in San Francisco, you may want to Google that. Muhammad Yunus, U-N-U-S. Very interesting. And I think it holds great value. And not only about starting a business, maybe none of us are interested in starting a business. That's fine. But what about the thoughts you have, what you're going to create? What's the purpose of what you're going to do tomorrow, or what you're going to think about tomorrow? Is it about to make your life easier, more joy-filled? Or is it about finding a way to solve a problem? Our world has a lot of problems, folks. And we have the ability to solve almost every one of them, probably. But Einstein said you can't solve a problem with the same consciousness that it was created. Something else we might think about as we're going through this transformation period. We could give some thought to human nature. You know, people tell us, oh, it's in human nature to be mean and nasty. I disagree. You look at the crisis that's going on in this world today. You look at the crisis in the past, all the different viruses, all the earthquakes and tornadoes and storms and fires. When people become afraid, the only way to overcome that fear is to go inside and find the courage. And when they have that courage, what's the first thing they do? They start doing the same things as you folks are doing. They start taking groceries to people that can't get out and get them. They start taking prescriptions. They volunteer at the food banks. They volunteer at the shelters. Human nature is about nurturing and caring for each other. And when we get to that point where we have that courage from within, when we start thinking in the consciousness of we, funny thing, that we includes the divine mind. And when we include that divine mind, when we're in that we consciousness, we can find the solution to every problem that exists. We can create a new normal that ends violence and war. We can create a new normal that ends discrimination and poverty. We can create a new normal where people care about and give a damn about each other worldwide, instead of just profit. Church of the Oaks is not a religious church. We teach no religious doctrine. We seek spiritual truth. We seek ways to understand the unseen, the divine, Spirit, God, and bring that power and that wisdom and that courage into our day-to-day lives, that compassion. But this is Easter Sunday, and a lot of our world celebrates this as a religious holiday. Most of our world celebrates it with the Easter Bunny and candy and jelly beans. But if we look at this man, Jesus, and this event called Easter that has been celebrated for thousands of years, what happened to Jesus was he transformed. He transformed from a living physical being to the Spirit, from the seen to the unseen. We are in a time of transformation right now, like it or not. And we have the ability to commune with the unseen, with the Spirit. And we have right now the most perfect opportunity in history to create a new normal. Think about that. That's never happened before, where we can all take part in creating a new normal. It's going to take our best. I'm going to give thanks. When I leave here and go home, I'm going to give thanks that I have this opportunity, along with all of you, to participate with everything that I can think of to be my best, to create a new normal for humanity, to create a new way to stop polluting our planet. Such a gift we have right now. But it requires thought, not habit, not conditioning, fresh thoughts. I urge each of us to think about what we think, what we do, and what we say in these next days, weeks, and months, and even years, as we collectively create a new normal. And so it is.